effectively when we needed to. We dropped too many significant passes, very catchable, makeable passes. We're fortunate tonight. It's good to proceed with the victory. I acknowledge that, but not a lot happened tonight to be proud of or to be excited about other than that.
Right. So, Greg, should Mike Tomlin be worried about his Steelers like he sounds?
If they play the way they did yesterday, yes, he should. But this is Mike Tomlin understanding what's in front of him and knowing what they have the opportunity to accomplish this year. They're an 11-0 football team who beat a Baltimore Ravens team that was without their starting quarterback and a lot of other guys. And they barely got by. And it wasn't the Pittsburgh Steelers that we've seen all year. Defensively, they gave up big plays. Like he said, offensively, they were inconsistent. As a coach, the number one thing you have to battle against when your team has gone undefeated is complacency. That's what Mike Tomlin is trying to prevent his team from doing, is settling and thinking that every win is a gimme just because they're undefeated. That is not the case. Anytime you have no blemishes in the L column, teams are going to give you their best shot. And so he wants his team to remain sharp. He's not doing what Bruce Arians is doing down in Tampa Bay, calling out individual players. He's calling out his entire team so that they can rectify what they are watching right now on film so that it doesn't protrude over into their next game against the Washington football team.
Yeah, I love what Tomlin said in terms of really highlighting the difference between performance and outcome. As former players, we all know the difference. There are times when you go out there and you win a game and you walk in that locker room, you make sure no one's looking at you, you're like, damn, we shouldn't have won that game. I don't know how that happened. And there are games where you lose and you're like, yo, I went out there and destroyed them dudes. How did we lose that game? So it's important that your coach talks matter of fact to your team and to his audience and saying there's a difference between performance and outcome. Of course, I'm going to applaud the outcome. We won the game. We're still undefeated. But look at our performance. Sooner or later, that's going to catch up to us as a team if we don't fix these issues. But their issues are not that bad. Their issues are not drastic. Obviously, the old formula was run the football, stop the run, and play defense. That's championship football. I think the formula's been remixed of late because of the league and it being a passing league. Basically, have yourself a quarterback, make sure you can get to the other team's quarterback and play some defense your damn self. And that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers can do and do very well. They have Ben Roethlisberger, where some people are saying this is the best they've seen in Ben Roethlisberger, in part because he's getting the ball out faster, and that's the formula. Lean on your defense and get the ball out your hands fast and get it to your playmakers. But also the fact that they can get to the opposing team's quarterback because of how great they are and leading the league in sacks this year. So you talk about them being first in takeaways as well. This is a team that basically has all the winning attributes you need, which is have you a damn good quarterback, an MVP candidate, some say. Also have a front line on defense that can get to that quarterback, and then an entire defense that can play and play well in terms of the points per game allowed. I like Pittsburgh a lot. Mike Tomlin didn't like what he saw yesterday, but in totality, I know he's loving what he's seeing.
Well, I mean, I like the Steelers, but I think they have an Achilles heel. Their Achilles heel comes in two fashions. One, they are unable to run the football, and because they're unable to run the football, goal line and short yardage situations, they're not able to impose their will. That comes up and becomes a major factor when they play a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, where you don't want to have a fast break contest against Pat Mahomes and company. You want to slow the ball down. You want to slow the game down and control it. Well, they have to be able to run it, and they're unable to do so. And so I don't mind the ball being in Ben Roethlisberger's hands. I don't necessarily love the fact that he threw the ball 51 times, but it's a lot of dink and dunk paper cuts. And I just wonder, when they begin to get into the postseason and it gets tight and it gets snug and people put their hands on their wide receivers, can those guys consistently uncover? We saw them against a physical Baltimore Ravens team. They had the dropsies. What is it going to be like when the pressure escalates and they need those guys to come up with those catches?
You talk about them not being able to score or run the ball in the red zone. They were 1 of 4 against the Baltimore Ravens team. When you start to get into the playoffs, teams are going to pray on what you don't do well. So they're going to force you to become one-dimensional. And you talk about them throwing 51 times and it's dinking and dunking. That's when you look down the road and you see a Kansas City Chiefs team, everyone looks and wants to be that. They can't. Why? Because they have explosive plays waiting in the wings all across the field. We don't see that with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when can they play great defense? They can. But all it takes is one big play. And the other team can possibly get it. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, they don't produce them as frequently as they would like to and that they need to. So you talk about needing to be able to run the ball in the postseason. If you're going to host games, and right now it's looking like they will be able to host at least one playoff game if they keep winning, you got to run the ball when that weather is not right. And trust me, being a receiver in the cold climate, I don't care who you are. You don't want that ball coming that hard in that weather when it's -10 and you trying to stay warm, but you got to pluck the ball. Yeah, it looks good on television, but in reality, we need to run the ball to get up out of here.
Well, it's interesting. There's two ways to run the football now in today's NFL. You can run the ball traditionally, or you can have what Bucky was talking about, the paper cuts out there, dink and dunk offense. You have the long handoff, which is the short passing game. And that's what Pittsburgh has. You got to talk about how efficient they are in their passing game. Ben Roethlisberger throws the ball the fastest of all quarterbacks in the NFL this year at 2.29 seconds on average. Why does that matter? Because the best line, the best protection any quarterback has is him being decisive with the football. Forget the offensive lineman in front of him. If he's getting rid of that ball to the tune of what Roethlisberger is doing this year, how are you going to get to him? So I look at this as a team that can strike. You guys are saying, well, they don't do it in a traditional sense. You don't think of them like you think of the Green Bay Packers and